Find out how this ordinary kid saved millions of lives in San Francisco. The life of Scott family was devastated when they learned their 18-month-old son is diagnosed with blood cancer. It was too much for the family to handle. Things took an unexpected turn when an organization knocked at their door and the ailed boy made a wish. Neither the organization nor his parents had expected such an unusual wish to be coming from him. Find out how his odd desire eventually made him save an entire city. Nick Scott, a farmer by profession, was living with his family in Tule Lake, located at the far end of Northern California. His small family included Natalie, his wife, and 2 small kids. He, along with his family, was living a very peaceful life in this peaceful and small settlement, with a population not more of 1,000. Coming back home from work and snuggling with his 18-month-old son Miles Scott used to be the best moment of the day for Nick. Likewise, one day Miles was cuddling with his parents in bed when his mother saw a lump on his jaw. Naturally, Natalie got worried and took him to the doctor to get it checked. The doctor, on the other hand, checked him physically and diagnosed him with an ear infection. However, Nick and Natalie remained doubtful as their kid had no symptoms matching that disease. They suspected it was something else and so decided to go for a blood test. The results came back after a few weeks. It was going to shake them from within. Coincidentally, Natalie was working for the same doctor, and when the result came, it became difficult for the doctor to enlighten her about her son's condition. However, Natalie found by his expression that something was severely amiss. She was waiting for the doctor to say something, and the doctor revealed that Miles was diagnosed with leukemia. Its victims mostly include children. It begins with the production of white blood cells named lymphocytes present in the bone marrow. The leukemia cells attack the blood very quickly, thereafter sprawling to other parts of the body: liver, central nervous system, spleen, and lymph nodes. Needless to say, it was shocking news for Nick and Natalie. Suddenly, their blissful life had turned into a painful one. As far as Miles was concerned, not being even 2 years old, he was too young to understand the gravity of his disease. His parents immediately admitted him to a hospital in Portland, Oregon to get the treatment started. It was the first time for Miles to get on a plane, and that's why he got scared. To help get him over the fear, Nick lied down with him on the gurney so they could be tied down together. The little kid had his entire life changed. Blood transfusions and chemotherapy became an integral part of his day-to-day. Miles was a toddler, and going through chemotherapy week after week was a lot to expect. However, there was no way out. Treatment sucked the energy out of him, leaving him tired and weak. His immune system got so vulnerable that he needed to be kept away from crowds. There was one thing nobody could keep Miles away from, though. When Miles wasn't busy with his treatment, he used to watch old episodes of Batman with his father. He loved superheroes, and Batman was his favorite among them. He was so enchanted by superheroes that all he wanted was costumes and toys like them. His mother never stopped him from watching superhero series, as she thought it would help him differentiate wrong and right. The tedious treatment procedure was harassing him even when it was done. He began to have nightmares that making him cry all night. Sadly, he was too little to understand what was going on. Usually, kids his age are agile and play a lot, but he had himself limited to his house as he was always too exhausted to go out and run around. Many years passed by with him undergoing chemotherapy to battle leukemia. Owing to his persisting disease, he got qualified to get a present from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. When his parents heard of it, they wasted no time in reaching out. It was a ray of light in darkness, and he was excited to participate. His parents wasted no time in arranging a meeting with local volunteers. In the meeting, they informed the volunteers about how their son got diagnosed with leukemia at such a vulnerable age and how courageously he was battling with that since then. Needless to say, it was an emotional moment, with both parents having their eyes moistened with tears. It pulled at the heartstrings of volunteers, and they turned towards the kid to find out more about him. Subsequently, volunteers interacted with Miles. They asked him what he wishes for. Miles had to color a picture of it. What he drew was nothing short of a surprise for Volunteer and his parents. He made a picture of Batman, and the reason behind it was soon going to sweep the floor from under their feet. Why exactly did he draw Batman? Did he want a costume or a toy, or he wanted to meet the actor? The answer to all this was no. He wanted something else, something near impossible. He wanted to be a Batman. Now, it put the volunteers in a dilemma. What bothered them more was that how are they going to fulfill his wish? Now, as the wish had been made, the organization was compelled to fulfill it, and the way they chose will stump you. As volunteers failed to find a way to fulfill his wish, the news reached the ears of the CEO of the Bay Area branch of Make-A-Wish, Patricia Wilson. Like others, she was amazed by his wish, but unlike others, she came up with a perfect idea of making Miles' wish come true. It was going to be the beginning of a roller coaster the life of Miles was going to set on. Patricia had everything in her mind. She looked for a person who would impersonate grown-up Batman that would accompany the little Batman that was going to be Miles, and together they would go on an adventure. And it was then that our favorite little hero Bat-Kid came into existence. It's the same Bat-Kid who took the world by storm. The next question was, where were they going to have the plan? But before finding out the location, it was important to search for the grown-up Batman. Patricia wrote an email to stunt actor and tech whiz Eric E.J. Johnston if he would like to play the part. When Sue, the wife of Eric, got the email, she said she had no option but to take up the role of damsel in distress. E.J. thought that they would have their part of the adventure in a park. However, there was something else in the mind of Miles' parents. They wanted their son to see the world outside their small town, so they came up with another mind-blowing idea. They decided to take him to San Francisco. But was it going to be easy to have his wish come true without having any known in the city? Patricia got on the work immediately. She sent emails to important position holders in San Francisco. You must be wondering why. Well, the little Bat-Kid needed his own Gotham to go on the adventure, and in order to build Gotham, the consent and support of key profile individuals was needed. Surprisingly, everyone she approached was more than happy to help participate. The help was pouring from all corners of the city. Emma Dates, serving as a local branch's reporter of ABC News, came forward to join the mission, and so was Greg Sir. Not only that, but Ed Lee, the mayor of San Francisco, took part in it too. Now the team was ready to set the ball rolling. Now all they need was 200 volunteers who would cheer for Bat-Kid by standing on the sidelines at each piece of Bat-Kid's mission. Along with that, Patricia made sure there were 2 real motorcycle escorts, only to give a set a real look. EJ, on the other hand, was very excited about this project. To make the experience feel more real for Miles, he designed a glove that projected images similar to Batman. Everything was going according to plan, and they were moving a fast pace toward Bat-Kid's special day. But who is going to be Bat-Kid's villain? Patricia never thought it would be so easy. The only part that posed a bit of a problem was finding the right villain. The Joker was the first choice that came to their mind, but he would have been too scary for the 5-year-old boy, so they settled for the Riddler and the Penguin. They had to recruit more volunteers. Mike Juden, who was roped in to play the role of Penguin, put out a post on his Facebook about their plan. His words soon reached the world, and then something happened that was unexpected. EJ's Facebook post spread like wildfire. Bat-Kid became the most heard name, and his life story turned out to be the most viral story of that time. It was all over the place, on blogs, in news, and a number of websites. His story transcended the boundaries of this country. Suddenly, this little angel became the center of attraction of the world. And you know what? It was just the beginning. People from all around the world called the team. As if that was not enough, Patricia, EJ, and Mike's mailboxes got flooded by emails conveying love for Bat-Kid. Away from all this, Miles was enjoying his childhood back at his home in Tool Lake. Bat-Kid had conquered millions of hearts. People in great number responded positively to volunteer at the event. Not only that, many Bat-Kid fans bought plane tickets to San Francisco so they could become witness to this historic moment. The special day had many exciting surprises for Miles. Make-A-Wish planned a lunch for Miles at a burger bar that later on received reservation requests for 7,000 people for the same day. There were some who began producing Bat-Kid t-shirts. So what did his parents have to say? When Nick and Natalie heard about the number of people who were planning on attending the event, they were dumbfounded. 13,000 people were going to be a part of Miles's wish. On the other hand, Patricia was straining all her nerve to make the event a success. For that, she had to do lots of tasks along with answering thousands of volunteer requests. It was to see how shy Miles was going to react. No need to say, Miles's parents were doubtful about the good execution, but Patricia was fully confident that the event would turn out to be a big success. After all, there was a great population out there looking forward and supporting the event. Interestingly, there were many people who offered their own Lamborghinis for a day to be used as a temporary Batmobile. Many more offers were made by towering personalities. Twitter also jumped on the bandwagon and came forward to help the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The representatives of this giant social site offered help in managing the organization's Twitter handle and disseminating minute-to-minute information about the Bat Kid's adventurous journey to his fans. Who was left on Earth who didn't want to be part of this event? Hans Zimmer, who composed the music of the Dark Knight films, came out and expressed his desire to give a final touch to the day's action. He ended up composing Bat Kid's soundtrack. The San Francisco Opera was tasked with sewing, measuring, and mending costumes the whole day so nothing looked fake. Admirably, the opera did it even when they had another show in production. Finally, with the joint effort of so many people, Gotham was ready. The only thing left now was to bring the Bat Kid to his Gotham City. The little Miles had no idea how much the world was excited to see him as a Bat Kid. The only thing he knew was that he was going to be Batman and was about to go on a trip to San Francisco. What he did not know was that he needed to learn acrobatics in order to come over the obstacle courses designed for him. It was then the 5-year-old stepped into a gym. Well, it wasn't a gym, but something else. It was a circus with all the acrobats donning superhero costumes. It looked as if that was the gym where all the other superheroes got their training. Miles enjoyed the session with EJ a lot. However, he did not know who EJ was and why was he practicing acrobatics. It was the night before his special day. Emma Dates, a prominent journalist from ABC News, visited Miles. A major population of San Francisco had crowded the premise of the hotel only to see the would-be Bat Kid. Emma got surprised when she learned that Miles had no inkling about what was coming up. Eventually came the morning of the most awaited day. It began with Nick and Natalie watching a pre-recorded DVD for Miles. The TV had Emma, the news lady, on it. Miles recognized her in one glance, but she was saying something. Her tone was weird, and she was saying that the police chief wanted to share an important message. Greg Sewer clarified that he was looking for Batman, and for that he needed Bat Kid's help. He also mentioned a damsel in distress. He requested if anyone could come forward and help her out. That brought the end of the video. Miles was watching that with awe, and it was then that someone knocked on his door. The door opened to the face of Batman. Batman asked him for help, and Bat Kid leapt into his costume at once. Batman asked Bat Kid whether he practiced acrobatics, which he confidently replied yes. At that moment, Miles didn't know the man behind the mask was EJ. Thereafter, both the superheroes clattered down the stairs, only to see a spectacular scene. The road had amassed thousands of people. The sky was filled with news helicopters flying around over Union Square. On the other side, the Batmobile was roaring from the inside of the hotel's loading dock. Both Batman and Bat Kid jumped into the Batmobile and rushed to save the damsel in distress. Batman and Bat Kid reached the damsel in distress by following the directions given by the police chief. The lady was bound to a cable car track next to a bomb planted by the Riddler. The cable car was moving fast towards her from the other side. They had very little time in hand, so without wasting any, they began to untie her. The two finally rescued the lady. She embraced and thanked the Bat Kid. Not to forget, the lady in the costume was none other than the eminent actress Sue. Batman and Bat Kid had successfully completed their first challenge. The crowd standing on the side were cheering for them when another challenge came their way. The police chief, through a video message, informed the duo that Riddler was running amok in a bank some miles away. The pair ran towards their evil in their Batmobile. The two got into the bank. Bat Kid had never seen a real-life villain before. Notwithstanding that he was all set to take on the challenge, Bat Kid tapped a button and trapped Riddler in a vault. This way, Bat Kid had his first bad guy. The police chief was extremely happy at little Bat Kid's big achievement and suggested both of them go on to lunch, but there was another hurdle waiting for them. Bat Kid talked a lot with Batman during the lunch at Burger Bar. During the conversation, he admitted he's too tired to continue as a bad kid. It seemed the end of this beautiful journey was in offing, but everything changed when Bad Kid looked out from the window. Miles perceived thousands of fans waiting for him outside the restaurant. They were holding a banner with a message written on it. The SF Giants mascot, Lucille, had been kidnapped by Penguin. He had taken him to AT&T Park. That made Bad Kid change his mind immediately. He braced himself for one more mission and rushed to Batman towards the stadium. First, he untied Lucille, and then he moved towards Penguin to defeat him. He went up the steep stairs following the villain. He managed to overcome smoke bombs and explosions with the help of his acrobatic skills. Lastly, he successfully caught the Penguin and made him bite the dust. The police chief gave another message: go to City Hall. The San Francisco City Hall was filled with local tourists and international people. They had all come here to celebrate the day with Miles. Miles climbed up the stairs towards the podium and stood next to Mayor Ed Lee. Mind you, he was the mayor of Gotham, not of San Francisco. He gave Bad Kid the keys to the city, but that wasn't the end of the thrill. Patricia came on the stage to make a revelation to everyone. She revealed that Miles was done with his chemotherapy and he was in remission. The news was a cherry on top for the public. They were jumping with joy, literally. Bad Kid got his fan in Hollywood too. Those who previously played Batman, Val Kilmer, Ben Affleck, Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, and Adam West stayed updated about him with Twitter live feed and expressed their reactions on social sites. Not only Hollywood, but then President Obama and First Lady Michelle too sent their love to Miles. You may agree that the story of Bad Kid conveys a message of humanity and unity to the world. Chemotherapy had sucked all the money out of Miles' family. Despite that, a major part of the fees was yet to be paid. But after Bad Kid went viral, all the expenses got paid by fans. It was a big help for his family. Miles enjoyed the event thoroughly. Though he couldn't grasp the efforts and planning that went into its making, Miles's wish was finally fulfilled in the most beautiful way. His parents are very much thankful for Patricia and her foundation. San Francisco, too, had gotten their little hero.